welcome to edition 118 of our Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we have a mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
It does, Rachel. Keeps us off the streets, keeps us clean, keeps us safe. Thanks everybody for listening. Going to get some thanks in early off the start because normally I think I start off by complaining, but I'm going to say thanks for listening. Thanks everyone who donates to the Patreon. Huge. I know we always forget to mention it. We should be like more organised podcasts that sort of mention every episode, but it is you don't get anything extra for being on the Patreon because we sort of don't believe in putting stuff behind paywalls.
Also, we don't have the bloody time either.
We don't have the time, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But having that Patreon there is why you're able to watch this on YouTube or wherever you are watching this, if you are watching it, and why we're able to be much more consistent about episodes and just bang out an episode.
Keeps the ads away, all that stuff. So huge thank you to those people, basically. Yeah.
Although I was listening to something on Spotify, a podcast, and like I pay for Spotify.
Yeah, don't.
And
Go
there's
on.
fucking adverts on it as well.
Yeah, I am getting really sick of this. So I pay for Spotify Premium. And I'm listening to a podcast, and then you still get the adverts in because obviously that episode puts the adverts in, and you're just like, fucking hell, like.
But I don't even mean the ones that are like someone going, someone reading out being like,
no,
this.
I know, yeah,
it's like a proper ad.
Yeah, because they're embedded. They've uploaded it with those ads in. It's completely unfair, I think. But I get American adverts. Do you ever get that? I keep getting this one. There's a podcast I love called Into the Fog by Peter Laws. Very good podcast, spooker. And I keep getting this advert for O'Reilly's auto parts. And it goes, O'Reilly's, like this, auto parts. And it's American. I'm like, why am I getting this advert?
It depends on where I'm going. When I came back from, I did my tour show in Sweden last year, and I was getting Swedish adverts in like the people were speaking Swedish. But I will get every now and then I'll get something very dry in the Welsh language from like the DVLA or something. And I'll be listening to something like, oh my God, Catherine Ryan can speak Welsh. And then I'm like, no, it's an advert, you fucking dickhead. And that's a man speaking.
I sometimes get, there was French adverts that kept getting, but then I thought, maybe it's because I'm bad-tempered. That's probably it. Maybe I have that temperament.
What the people I know who, maybe I've talked about this before, but the people I know who live where I live on Anglesey, obviously like when you live in the countryside, you've got to sort of make peace with the fact you have to go further to do stuff. So, if you're on a dating app, their radius, they'll put it as bigger because you want a decent population. But they are much more likely to match with someone in Dublin than they are in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And the same in South Wales. Apparently, people will match with people in Cornwall, or like Devon and Cornwall, because it's as the crow flies, it's close.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. Well, actually, if you're in the southeast of England, maybe you might match with someone in France.
Wow,
you would think, wouldn't you?
I would say that's a 3 population of men that'd be quite fun to have some kind of dalliance with, is Irish men, Cornish men and French men. That'd be a lot of fun, right?
I don't know. Look,
it's man the problem in that sentence, though.
That's the problem in that sentence there. I just have no time for this kind of nonsense. Just no. I
was thinking about that the other day. Like, I really, I adore, even after like nearly 8 years now, like it still feels like the first sort of like 6 months of my partner. I absolutely adore him. And one of the reasons why I love being with him so much is like, thank fuck I don't have to negotiate the world of dating. I think I would just be like, oh no, it's not for me.
I just, to be honest with you, I just think, I don't know how. I imagine if you're younger, it's quite exciting and interesting and you're meeting different people. But I just feel like now I've met enough people now. I can't, Tim's got all the qualities that I like in a person. That'll do, thank you. I'm quite happy.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. Do you know? I would hate to have to get to know somebody. Oh, great. Here's my mum. I couldn't give a fuck. I'm done. If anything happened and I suddenly found myself in the world of singledom, I just don't think I'd bother.
Yeah, it's the same. That sort of same reason of like I don't need any more like people. Is why I don't do CrossFit. because that is exercise for people who need mates, and I've got loads of them. I'm all right.
It's a bit intense CrossFit, isn't it? It's like cults, like
it's a pyramid scheme parading as a gym. With the ones I've been to anyway, like I can totally see why it would be really appealing for some people, but like being fist bumped by like a 6'1", 21-year-old being like, "Good job, buddy," because I've run around a car park.
Yeah, no thanks.
It literally makes me want to walk into the sea. Let's talk about Linda Hazzard.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, nominative determinism, because she was a fucking hazard.
I think like she's a bit like the old-time Gillian McKeith.
I was thinking how much she's like Gillian McKeith as well. God, Gillian McKeith. How do you explain that to people who didn't have her? I don't think she made it to America or Australia. Basically, she was a doctor who
She
then
wasn't,
went
though.
on to... She wasn't, no. She said she was Dr. Gillian McKeith, and I think she was like a doctor of, from like Trump University. And she...
I think she'd done like an online nutrition course or something like that,
Right,
hadn't she?
sure. But it was definitely not the doctor that she'd led people to believe. She used to get people to like poo in Tupperware and then like hold it up to a camera and be like, "This really smells."
Yeah, we know, Gillian. Why are you keeping it fresh? Throw it away.
Yeah, shit smells. And she's like, "It really shouldn't smell." And like, do you know, it's actually brown, which is such a bad sign.
It's
and
actually
like,
knocking me sick, that don't.
It is so weird. And then she'd like put people on, diets essentially. And then she had her own like snack range as well with her face on it. I used to carry, did I tell you, I used to carry a picture of her in my wallet.
Hang on, why?
Well, because this is just me being like a fucking weird 20-year-old. But she used to have an incredibly Photoshopped picture of her on the box of like health food where she looked like Sophia Loren or something. Like she was sort of reclining and it was all in sort of gold. And I thought it fucking made me howl when I saw it. How sort of, Photoshop basically she was. So I ripped it off the box in the supermarket, and when you open your purse and it should have like a picture of your kids or whatever. I used to have Gillian McKeith in there because it would make me laugh every time I saw it.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, so I've probably still got the purse somewhere with it in.
Bit of fun.
Yeah, so Gillian McKeith was basically it was really in the height of all that stuff where it was, like shaming people for being, like struggling with their weight, struggling with food, it was all in like, Trini and Susanna are poking at people's fucking tits in, like in shopping centres. It was like a very toxic time of television, and she was really rode the crest of that wave until it all came crashing down. She's very similar to our Linda Hazzard here.
She was born Linda Laura Burfield on the 18th of December 1867 in Carver, Minnesota. Now, she got married at 18 and had 2 kids. I thought you were vaping then. I was like, oh my God.
Because of how I was yawning.
Yeah. I was like, what on earth?
I've got a little bit of background. She was not very... there was some ill health in her house when she was growing up. Her parents, bearing in mind she's born in 1867, were very vegetarian, which is like a very, very unusual thing for that era.
Who was it that started... this is so boring. The vegetarian movement. Did it start in Manchester? Am I imagining this? Look,
really?
This is one of my historical facts at the back of my head. Look, I'm not going to get into it, but I think vegetarianism is probably older than you would imagine. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Well, I think in some obviously like religious cultures, not eating meat is a part of it anyway. But certainly in like Minnesota in the late 1900s, fairly unusual. Even just because like you need to get your iron, you need to get your, we didn't understand as much about nutrition. So her parents are vegetarians. Now, there was some ill health, and I can't remember now from what I was reading if it was her or her mum, but basically they were treated with mercury.
Oh, great.
Yes, exactly. Horrific. Caused all these sort of problems, including teeth to fall out. So at
worst nightmare.
Point, yeah, I mean, it's hell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hair falling out, teeth falling out, just awful. So about that time, Linda starts to get an uncomfortable relationship with traditional medicine, let's say, and is like, they don't know what they're doing. And she would have been right at about that time, that they cause more harm than good. So that is sort of the background of this. So yes, she gets married at 18 to Irwin, doesn't she?
has 2 children. Now,
Great names. Roland and Flora. I think they're fun names.
All right, yeah.
She doesn't enjoy motherhood.
I imagine I went to a thing on Saturday in Walthamstow, and I imagine most of the children there were called that. I just can't. Can I be awful? I just feel that sometimes, like, parents, you have children that your life will change. You can't just bring them to the pub constantly. You can't just bring them to events that are for grown-ups so that they can treat everywhere like a playground and everyone's got to look after them. Like, I just feel as well, like, when you see, people would really sneer at working class women going for a bottomless brunch, but when middle class parents are having a drink at 1 PM, that's socialising. Do you know what I mean? It really grinds my fucking gears. And, how many people now, I'm looking at people walking up the street, they're such cliches in a way, aren't they? Like, middle class, they've got, the kid in the massive buggy. They've got, like, 2 rescue dogs. It's like, are you going out? Are you fleeing from something? I just can't. How much room do you want to take up? You're in the fucking way. And such badly behaved children. And one of them smashing a bottle on it. And I'm like, what is this? If these kids were my nieces and nephews, people would be fucking up in arms going, what are these kids doing? But also my nieces and nephews wouldn't behave like that because, they're well behaved and have boundaries and discipline. But I can't believe sometimes the way middle class people behave.
I have a problem when I love it when I have I love kids and I love my friends' kids, and like we're having a big Easter party at my house for all the kids. And I love it when I know there's going to be children there and I have mentally prepared for it. What I don't like is when you think you're meeting a mate and they rock up with their kids. And I understand that sometimes that's necessary, but like, that's fine. I just need a heads up to know that what I thought today was going to be. Same, I'll put that in the same box as don't bring your partner. Like, unless I know and then can mentally prepare, okay, we're not going to have the day that I thought we were going to have, that's fine.
I do agree. And I know it sounds really awful. And do you know what? I don't care, actually. When someone does turn up and they've got the kid with them, fine. And I like kids, do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. You do need the heads up because it changes the vibe. Mm-hmm. So, but then it's like when somebody, it's like, why have we met up? Because all you're doing is talking to the kid. Here's something that fucking gets me. When you're on the phone to somebody and then they start talking to the kid. No, you don't. You're on the phone to me. That's a kid. It can wait. Boundaries. It is a child. You are speaking to me. It's like sometimes I'm on the tube and I'm like, why am I standing up and that kid's sitting down? Where is the respect?
Where's the hierarchy?
I don't, this is just how I feel about it. I do, the thing is, every time I say something on this podcast now, I'm just like, oh, some cunt's going to write in about something. I can actually just say, if you do listen and you do feel like you want to write in, don't, because you're listening into a conversation that doesn't involve you. So, eavesdrop all you want, but don't fucking get your little pen and paper out.
Pen and paper. Fucking hell. So, she has two kids.
She leaves the children. She leaves them.
Yeah. She doesn't. It's really interesting to hear about because, so I think the conversation is tentatively opening up around loads of people find, having children life affirming, the best thing they will ever do, everything they're dreamed of and more. And loads of people are like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. And it's made my life worse, but I love my children. And
also, who are these people that are not getting the memo? Like, oh, you're tired, are you? Here's something that I find very intrusive. I was in an Uber the other day and he started talking to me. I'm like, fucking shut up, mate. And do you have children? I went, no. Oh, do you think you'll have children? I was like, who the fuck are you? I went, no, I don't want them. And then I was trying to lighten the mood. I just went, well, life's very expensive. Well, you can afford to have children.
What?
And I just went, okay. I said, great. I said, oh, we're nearly there. Not far to go now. Like, Fuck off. Seriously. Can I just get in an Uber and not have a discussion about my innards?
Why? Yeah, why is he on a recruitment drive for your eggs?
Yeah, I just felt it's so
mad.
intrusive. But then there's that other thing of like, also it's like, yeah, I'm at an age now where I'm not having kids. It's not. I don't want kids, and I'm at an age where hopefully in the next few years I'll never have to worry about ever being impregnated. Do you know what I mean? So, but also I think the thing is because people think I'm younger. Like, why you? What do you, Uber driver, care about my innards?
I wonder if that's that weird, I don't know if the huge leap here, but you know how like the right are desperate for everyone to have kids? And I wonder if it's that weird thing where he's like, watch some YouTube where it's like, women need to have children. It's literally the only reason they're here on the planet. So like, if you know a woman who's not having children, you need to remind her why she's here. I wonder if he's just like, watch something like that.
The thing is as well, I always think about that, like there was a big, on the front of the Evening Standard a couple of weeks ago, it was just a big headline that said why Londoners aren't having children. Yeah, because life is expensive. Like I cannot express to you how, and it's funny because people see you on little bits of TV or whatever and all the rest of it, and they assume that you're well off. It's like this is a fucking grind, man. Like everything's going up. People can't afford. Also, I always think the way the world is now, why would I want to have a kid and bring it into the fucking world to have a life of bloody misery, you know?
I'm not desperate for my child to get conscripted and have to fight Russians.
Actually, I think that sounds quite cool. I might have a couple, yeah.
Bangs them out as it goes.
But yeah, I'm at a point now where I'm just like, what are these intrusive conversations that people are having?
Mad.
Conversely, you probably know what I'm going to say. There's friends that you've had that, particularly female friends, that do have kids and then they sort of don't see you as the same as them anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like you sort of vanish from the conversations. You're not like them now. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I'm a mum. Do you know what I mean?
Got a whole bit of my last show about that. The way people talk to you changes in that you have suddenly and like I said in the show, I've got no doubt that having children doesn't hugely change your perspective and things, but also being spoken to like I couldn't possibly understand or don't have a stake in this things is absolutely wild.
It's like I've got family, I've got friends, I've got people I care about. There's things that I like, there's things that I don't like. I'm still the same person just because, but I'm a mum. Oh, okay, cool.
So she marries at 18 Erwin Perry. They have these 2 kids. She doesn't click with motherhood. She bangs out 2 kids in 5 years, which is I don't think I would click with motherhood in that situation. I just think it's that's quite common, isn't it, to have kids that sort of close together, but just a lot in it. So she starts to focus on a career in osteopathy. Mm-hmm. And around that time, she's like, do you know what? I would just much rather actually have a career. And she leaves her husband and heads to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And she's having this revelation. So in about 1898, she changes her focus from what she's trained in. And bear in mind, it's a nurse, not a doctor. So she has some medical training. She starts to look at natural remedies and is convinced that is the way forward. She finds a book that is published in 1885. Mm-hmm. It's by Dr. Edward Dewey. And now he wrote a book. His most famous thing is he's known for the no breakfast plan, which is basically 2 meals a day, don't have breakfast. And it was convinced that fasting is very good for you.
I'd be honest, I'd say skip dinner if you're going to skip anything. I mean, by dinner, I mean what posh people would say lunch. It's breakfast, dinner and tea in my world. You got to have breakfast, mate. Fucking hell. I'm always starving when I wake up.
Oh, well, I think breakfast is the one I'm most likely to skip.
I love it. Also, just eat when you're hungry, I would say. If you're hungry, have something to eat.
Yeah, sometimes I can't recognise the feelings. So I'm like, am I hungry or am I sad? Am I hungry or am I bored?
What's that thing that's going around at the minute? If you feel like everyone hates you, eat something. If you feel like you hate everyone, do you know what I mean? Have you seen it?
No, but that does speak to the other day, I was being dropped off for something by my partner and I hadn't eaten, and I said, I was going for a facial, and I said, when you pick me up, will you bring something back? Because I can feel myself getting irrationally full of rage, even though you're being perfectly pleasant. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he's like, what do you want? And then I was like, well, I just need you to get me some food if that's all right. And he's like, yeah, but do you want? And now I started to get fucking really angry. And then he did, sorry, this is going to be a visual joke to the people who are listening, but he did this, and he basically pretended to have paws and rolled on his back, which is what a dog does when he's being submissive. And he was like, no, I don't want an argument. And then I started laughing loads, and it diffused the thing. But I was absolutely, I can feel the rage boiling up inside me that also because I'm desperate to have an argument these days anyway, because I don't get to have them in my relationship, and I'm trying to be a nicer person. And when the opportunity arises, I'm fucking thrilled. But yeah, I had a sandwich and everything was okay.
Yeah, always makes it all right. Have a sandwich.
So he was Dr. Edward Dewey was an assistant surgeon in the army, and he wrote a couple of books. The True Science of Living is what Linda read and was like, wow, I absolutely love these ideas. So much so that she wrote to him and said, I think you're fantastic. Can I come and learn from you and work under you? And at first he was like, no, I don't think so. He's getting on a bit as well. And then
a woman? I don't think so.
But then he was like, do you know what? You've been so persistent. Come along. So she studied under him for a while. Now, around this time, it's about 1902 at this point, she gets divorced. She tells everybody, oh, my husband left me. Everyone who knows her, the neighbours, anyone who knows the kids, I think even her own children were like, that's not what you left him and us. In fact, the children are never mentioned in anything for the kind of the rest of her life. So, I got a neck burp then. Did you hear that?
No.
Do you know what I mean? When you get like a burp in your neck.
Like that.
Yeah. Horrific. So she gets divorced in 1902, and this is where she sort of gets her first patient that she treats with this fasting method. Her name's Gertrude Young. She's 42. She had had a stroke, and the stroke had left her with paralysis and a lack of function and feeling in a foot and an arm on one side of her. And she was really devastated by this and just would do anything to get her health back. And that's what's really sad about all these is she preys on people whose lives are made so fucking miserable by whatever they're suffering with. Some of which, let's be honest, nearly 120 years on, they would still be suffering because it's like endometriosis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The fucking medicine hasn't moved forward at all. So Gertrude would do anything to try and regain some feeling. So she said, well, what you need to do is my patented 40-day fast.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so where you put on like a very, very sort of meagre diet, and there's lots of mashed soups. And we only know this because one of her later victims kept a pretty prolific diary. Mashed soup. I don't know what the fuck that. How do you make a soup less robust? I don't understand.
It's just grim, innit?
It's horrible. So she goes on this 40-day fast. 33 days into it, she's incredibly weak. She also is vomiting, even though she's not really eating anything. She's freezing. All the windows are open. And Dr. Linda won't let her shut them. So she's just really, she's convulsing with the cold.
Oh, my God. You're hungry, you're cold, you're miserable, you're sad.
Yeah. And you think, but I need to just see this through because this is the thing that's going to get me back to how I was. Now, I don't know if it's assistant or housekeeper, calls another doctor who turns up and was like, immediately stop this fasting. Like, this is what's wrong, is that she's going into starvation here. Also, if you do have an injury, the best thing you can do is nourish it, right? Not starve it. So she says, please stop starving yourself, stop fasting. She refuses.
Oh, God.
She was like, no, I have to see it through. This is what's going to fix me. She passes away on November the 18th, on the 39th day of a 40-day fast.
So close.
Yes. Now, Linda says...
One day out, mate. Come on.
I know. One day away from retirement.
One day away from a McDonald's. Unbelievable.
Linda says, she tells everyone, oh, she died of paralysis, which is not how it works and not accurate. Now, a doctor does her autopsy. Her organs have shrunk because that is what happens when you're starvation. It, eats the fat, eats the muscle, eats the organs. So the organs almost look like children's organs. They're tiny. And is like, this person has clearly been starved. In fact, one of the things they comment on in the autopsy is that there wasn't much blood in her body.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
It is because, and the reason they think there was not much blood is because I think it's in the kidneys that make red blood cells, right? Not the liver. So the kidneys are so shrunken and basically, operating, they're not really making red blood cells. And she's so dehydrated, there isn't the kind of moisture to keep the blood. So there's she's got less blood from starvation, which is, I didn't even know is a thing that could happen. It really sent me under that detail. Yeah, so she's really dehydrated. She's clearly died of starvation. Now, the coroner who did the autopsy, or who got the autopsy findings, wanted to push for murder. And the reason that they couldn't get a murder charge is that technically she hadn't done anything wrong because Gertrude had willingly done the diet and she wasn't a real fucking doctor, so you can't get her through medical malpractice, which is wild that there's a loophole that means that if you aren't a proper doctor, but people think you are and you're giving them faulty medical advice, you avoid any crime. I think that is fucking wild.
Well, it was just a suggestion.
It was, yeah.
I just made a suggestion and she went along with it.
Do you know what she said? She said, oh, the reason she died is because she didn't follow the instructions properly. If she'd have followed my fast to a T, then she'd still be here.
Oh, you cheeky shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cheeky sod. Oh, she's cheeky, isn't she?
She is. She's so cheeky that poor Gertrude's jewellery all goes missing.
I know. This is terrible. This is really terrible. So she is actually thieving off these people.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's so dark, isn't it? I mean, all right, we talk about loads of horrible stuff on this, but this is so peculiar in so many ways. Like the control of watching someone starve. Like I think clearly enjoying that. Although she does do her own practices, doesn't she? Which she does practice what she preaches. We'll get to later. But then knowing that person's probably going to perish, so they're just like, oh well, I'll just take her jewellery anyway. There's something really sinister about it. It's like a real control sort of manipulation situation, isn't it?
Well, what do you think? Do you think she was going, I really think I can help these people, and then just justifying it to herself when they pass away, and then going, well, do you know what? If I take that jewellery, I can put that back into the business, I can help more people. Or do you think she's just, I found a really clever way to kill people?
I think she probably did believe that this was a real thing that worked. So for everyone that died, I imagine that there was somebody who got better and was like, oh, that really helped me. So I imagine there's enough people that would say, yes, this really worked, for her to think, yes, this really works. But I do think there was that darker side of like, well, this person's they're going to die. But she would justify it to herself by saying, oh, well, it was, liver disease, or it was cancer, or it was this, or it was that. So I think anyone that died, but then, is it the case of, all right, well, actually, some of these people will die, so I'll just take the stuff anyway.
Interesting. Well, I think I do agree. That's interesting. So I think in some ways it did work. One of the things is when she gets arrested later on, spoiler, she says, well, I had thousands of patients and only 12 died. So she's sort of bragging about that. And I bet in some ways the fasting, because if you look at it as well as a whole, these people are exhausted, they would have to exercise every day. So what you do have is people eating highly nutritious, the food she's giving them is like high in antioxidants. It's not fatty. It's, it was
all stuff like asparagus, tomato, occasionally a bit of orange juice if it was, a weekend, why not? So it was stuff that fundamentally is good for you, but there's just not enough of it.
Exactly. So I think people who say they would have a problem that is related to their weight, or sometimes not even weight, having like a fatty liver, things like that actually eating this stuff that is like fruit and veg based, exercising every day will have helped some people hugely with some health problems. And she could probably kid herself enough that she was doing the right thing. And yeah, I guess maybe she's like, well, they're going to die anyway. I'll take their jewelry. But there is the person who gets shot, but we'll get to them.
Yeah, but also there is that thing of like, she is lying about being a doctor. She's not a doctor, so she's a fraudster. She's a quack, a swindler.
She clearly thinks she is a doctor. She's convinced herself as well because she bollocks the reporters at trial. We'll get to that.
And
now,
she founded a sanitarium. I hate that word.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It just reminds me like when people say sanitary towels and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It
I'm glad that one's been phased out.
Yeah.
Towel is not like it's just not a great word in that context. And
do you know what I find as well now? Do you know like now that most places will have like tampons or whatever free in the women's toilets? I find that some venues are like, oh my God, we're so great. We give them those. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
can I tell you what happened though? So I totally agree. When I sit at my comedy club and they're like, hey, period products are free here. I'm like, yeah, but you don't book any fucking women.
yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah.
So I went and did a tour show as usual, even at my age with an incredibly regular period. It always sneaks up on me every fucking time. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I have a feeling I'm like, oh, it's just around now, and then I always forget. So I came on period and I was like, for fuck's sake. So I was thinking, well, it's like a charity venue, so I'm sure they'll have stuff. So went into the toilet, there was nothing. Went into the punters' toilets, there was loads of free stuff. So I'm like, put in the fucking people on stage have periods as well.
Mate, they don't even want to give us a glass of fucking water. Right, and I'll never get over this. Like, I will never, ever get over this. Currently on tour, do buy a ticket, come along. And
I thought you were saying do buy tickets. I was like, you're going to fucking Dubai. I didn't expect that one.
No, absolutely not. You won't fucking catch me there. I have actually been offered gigs in Dubai, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Same.
Why the fuck would I?
Someone lovely I really love was like, it was like, hey, I was just wondering if you want to do these gigs in Dubai.
No.
And then was like, I think maybe from what I know about you, you might say no. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to say no.
I'm not going to a place where, I can do that, but someone who, another woman wouldn't have the same rights as me. Fuck that shit, mate. Ain't happening. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah. What was I saying? Oh, fucking, can I have a glass of water? Please, just... Here's my favourite. Okay, here's my favourite that's happened. Sold out show. Great. Enjoying myself. In getting ready for the first section, I said, when it's the interval, would I possibly be able to get a Diet Coke for the second thing? Yes, but you'll have to pay for it.
What?
I went, okay. I went, yeah, that's fine. I'll pay for it.
No. Where? Can we beep it? Where?
Liverpool.
Which venue?
The whatever it is, the one we've done with Chris downstairs. Yeah.
Cheeky fucking cunts.
Yeah.
Cheeky cunts.
You put me, and I don't want to be like this, but you put me in a venue. I've got to use the fucking same toilet as the people that come, which is never good.
It's awkward.
It's awkward. I've got you're putting me in a little room that isn't really a green room, is it? It's a cupboard.
That is a cupboard where they also like. I'm sorry, when I'm sat on a pack of J2Os, I'm in a fucking cupboard.
It's disrespectful, and I'm not. I don't think I'm the big I am. I don't think this. I'm actually quite. I'm very malleable, easygoing, despite the fact that what people might think about me. And I just felt it was like, all right, yeah, of course. Like, I don't mind. I will pay for it. But the fact that this room is sold out, I was here on time, and you can't even. The first thing is, we got to pay for it. All right, cunt, I'll pay for it. I'm not bothered. But
yeah.
I just felt it was really not disrespectful, just like petty.
It is. Because also it's like that, that blast of fucking post mix and soda water is not coming out of your wages, is it?
Well, exactly. And
You
just,
kind of want to go on stage and go, can someone buy me a drink because the venue won't let me have one?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm really sorry, guys, but I honestly, it's just. But also, I do find that there are certain things that you're constantly up against. Like, you know, I don't have a support act and I don't have a tour manager because those things are just way out of my budget. So I'm just kind of like, you know, people aren't. So, like I say, I'm very easygoing and I'm fine. But as soon as I be firm about something, people go, oh. It's like, no, this is my job and this is actually very important. You know, I've fucking got 2 trains here to do this. So,
and you've worked for however many years getting a show ready. You've spent shitloads of money getting it up to standard, and you know everything. What you're wearing, everything on stage, like it matters to you. Every show really matters.
Well, it matters because it's my job, you know, and I want to do a good job for the people that paid to come and see me.
And you want them to come back next time. And it's really hard when anything is out of your control.
Isn't it?
I tell you this, I think I can be vague enough for this. I was at a venue having technical nightmares. It was show to the point where the show goes up late and none of it was fixed. Then the usual stuff, offstage mic isn't on. So
Oh my God, kill me.
Halfway on introducing myself. Then there's sort of like a joke in the second section on the offstage mic. That doesn't get picked up. So I'm like, it's so hard to go on stage and not be fuming. So like none of the technical stuff is right, but it's like, you know what? I've got a microphone and a stage, will be fine. The last time, the microphone is cutting out all the way through the show. And it gets so bad at the end that I get rid of the microphone. And the last bit of the show is really like small. It has to be done on a microphone to perform it well, because it should feel kind of small and intimate and not big. But because I'm without a microphone, it's a big room, I've got to push out and project and change how I perform it. So I sort of get through it and come on stage, and the guy who is responsible for these, you know, and I think someone was meant to be there that wasn't well. I understand they were covering, but is that he came backstage and he went, do you know what? I think actually not having a microphone in the end actually made it better.
Pissed off.
Yeah, he was like, I think it really added something to the show. And I want to be like, I added something to the show by firstly being able to project. Loads of comics haven't done like the drama stuff that I've done, so don't know how to use that muscle. So just you wouldn't have been able to hear them. And like, yeah, I snatched your fuck up from the jaws of defeat.
I can't. And the other day, and again, got to be vague, literally not one thing did this person get right. Oh. Not one fucking thing.
Is this the one we were talking about the other day?
There's 2, but this one particularly didn't listen to anything. So I was like, could we move this for the second section? Can we move this off the stage and I'll pack everything away? And
oh, I remember you messaging me. Yeah, not done.
No. And you just feel like going, there's no point being an arsehole. Because you're then the arsehole. And your job is you. So I'm like, I cannot. But what I will say is I do think a lot of venues are really letting their staff down, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're not supporting
putting them in
not
positions that they're not either not ready for or they're not training them for. And it's an important job and it's a skill. It's a skill. So train that person.
I'll try and tell this. This was not a tour thing. This is producer Owen will know about this because he had something to do with it. Tarot were doing a show.
I was going to say, you accusing him?
No, not at all. Tarot were doing a show of some kind that I was involved in.
Yes.
At a venue of some kind. And we were filming it because we needed it filmed to sort of pitch to something. And then what happens is like, it's really, we're aware that there's a cost implication to filming it as well, and we're already not making money from this show. The mics are all like whistling, you know, like really basic stuff.
Like when you watch a TV show and as someone goes to the microphone, they always do the feedback like, literally never happens.
I watched that on something the other day and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. It literally, I put like a big cross, because I was judging something for something and I put a massive cross and I was like, whistling mic. Unbelievable. Anyway, so the mics are all going, to stop that, he pulls the quietest person's mic down so low they cannot be heard. So it's just really terrible. There keeps being technical problems. There keeps being like mics being cut in and out. It's some weirdly, even though I'm meant to be kind of commenting all the way through, keeps putting my mic up and down. Hellish. So then lovely Ben from Tarot comes down after the show and I go, what the fuck went wrong with all that tech? And he is shaking he's got his eyes open and he's shaking his head at me. And I don't know who's in the tech box. I haven't seen them, but they're down sort of like helping put the stage away. And he's doing that to me. And I was like, I just want an answer of why that was so hard for us to do. And we're filming it as well. Like, that's cost us money and that's going to make it worse. And he just kept like, and I was like, oh, okay. And then he's shaking his head and then he takes one finger and he drags it down from his eye to his cheek, miming crying. And then I was like, what? So we get backstage and the tech, who is a guy in probably his late 30s, early 40s, he was like, yeah. He was like, and lovely Ben had been up there trying to sort of help him. And he said, I knew it was bad when I looked over and he was crying.
No. No.
And I'm like,
no.
Boys cry too, men cry. But I'm like, not during my fucking show, they don't.
No, I'm sorry. No.
Oh, God.
Fuck you. That is weaponised tears, that. No. You can't do your job. You fucking sit there and you cry. Pathetic.
No, Rachel,
no.
Come on.
No, Kiri, I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. I am a professional. If I've done something shit, don't get me wrong, the first show that I did of Side-Eye at the Edinburgh Fringe wasn't right. And I was so angry with myself that I went backstage and I was like, oh, you cry because you're angry. And Luke from Phil McIntyre, I said, Luke, do not look at me right now because I'm furious with myself. This will be right tomorrow. Fine. Stoicism. Why? But also, if you don't think you can do that job, don't be there. Give that to somebody who can do the fucking job.
Well, to fast forward, I was like, maybe he's just having a really bad day at work. We never know what's going on in someone's home life. A year or so.
Fine, but also don't bring it to work. And I'm sorry, do not bring it to work.
A year or so later.
Or have a day off.
I am in the box with him doing something with Tarot. And I'm doing most of the cues. It's a cue heavy show. And then I go, can you hit the cue? And he goes, what? And he's drawing on his iPad. So, like, he's being paid to be there, but he's just doing cartoons on his iPad. I was like, the one cue that you have to do, it's now. And it's like, comedy is so reliant on timing. So, yeah. Mate, so I was like, sat there like, I'm going to make you fucking cry in a second.
Do you know what? I would have got that iPad, I would have smashed it, and I said, fucking cry about that. I am sick of people not doing their job. Like, you show up and you ruin my show. You sit there and you cry. Don't you weaponise your incompetence. I am done. I swear to God, that person should be ashamed of themselves.
I'll tell you where it is so you never go.
And they're not. No. They're not ashamed of themselves. They're not. They know they can get away with it and they will continue to be shit because then they'll start crying.
Yeah, because I think if I'd have fucked up someone's show and they were back a year later and I would be like, and I'd lost it so much I'd cried, I'd be like, I'm going to be the best fucking tech they have ever seen to show that wasn't me.
No.
You know.
I'd make sure the best tech was doing the show. I wouldn't be there. Fuck me.
Anyway.
Seriously.
Let's talk about her second husband.
Yeah.
I thought she might have to be a 2-episode one, Rachel. So, in about 1903, Samuel Hazzard / Hargreaves.
Sammy House.
Yeah, he sometimes went by Hargreaves, who has a sort of history of fraud, sort of petty crimes and alcoholism. He's a 32-year-old. He lives next door to one of her patients. He catches her eye. Now, he has got a wife called Viva. What a fucking great name. And he goes to Viva, do you know what? I met this woman. She's really interesting. She's a doctor. I think I'm going to go into business with her. So that's why I'm going to be spending loads of time with her. And she's like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll buy that. And then she meets her and is like, I think you're going to try and have an affair with her and I really don't like her. And then so they meet Now, the next day, this is, they meet on October the 16th. The next day, Viva gets an anonymous letter from someone who says, just so you know, actually, Sam and Linda, they're having sex. They're actually having an affair and it's really hot.
Pen.
A poison pen arrives.
Yes.
Viva goes ballistic and says, Sam, what the fuck is this about? And he's like, it's all lies. Actually, you know what? I'm going to write to Linda and say I'm not going to have anything to do with you. Our business deal is off, and yeah, maybe she fancied me a bit. So he writes to her and calls it off. Now, bear in mind, this would have been October the 17th. By November the 11th, they're married. so he just is taking Viva for an absolute fucking ride. He goes to another place. He marries her. Viva finds out. And I think her dad he's very influential. I think he's a politician. So she goes to her dad and goes, yeah, you know that piece of shit I married? He's also married someone else. And so he pushes everything behind it. They get bigamy charges filed against him. That is the talk of Minneapolis, let me tell you. He says, well, he fluctuates. First of all, he goes, my marriage to Viva wasn't even real. It was like a phony marriage. And then he says, oh, no, hold on. It was Linda's idea. I didn't want to get married. I am married to Viva. He's just a lying shithead, basically.
Isn't she still married as well?
No, she has got divorced. Okay. Yeah, she gets divorced, I think, about this time anyway. So she, so he goes to prison, even though they say in the trial, it's her who pushed for the marriage. And there's loads of proof of this in letters they write to each other and things like that. Still, you did it. You are the one with a wife, so you are the bigamist. He goes to prison for 2 years for bigamy, and then he's about to get out. Viva has waited all this time. She sat there waiting for him to get home on his release day. He leaves and goes straight to Linda's house. And in 1906, because they are so unpopular in Minneapolis, they moved to Seattle.
Oh, okay.
Which is a cool city. Cool city.
Yeah, I've never been. I'd like to go.
Isn't it quite famous for being rainy?
Yeah, it's very Manchester vibes, I think.
It's Manchester vibes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, we've done an hour.
I reckon we go, should we just do it a two-parter?
Should we do this is up to, we've done the first victim. So we do the victims, because the trial's not very long. Do the victims in the next step? Yes.
And we must say the sanatorium was called Starvation Heights. We've not got to that bit
yet.
It
was.
Should we do that? Should we do that? Say, and then we can go to the second thing.
Yeah, great.
So obviously this is all happening. She's got this new husband. She as I said before, she founded a sanatorium, and it was called Wilderness Heights. Now this is where patients used to go in and they'd do their fasting. Mm-hmm. She was also a big fan of pummeling.
Oh my God.
And
this is nuts.
Hour-long enemas.
No, hours. No, because apparently, so this was wild. So the pummeling, she would take her fist and she would not just massage, dig in the knuckles. She would bash down on people's, on their chest, on their arms, on their legs, on their foreheads, Rachel. She would be smashing down on their forehead.
Do you know what? Never thought about it. That's actually
it's really painful.
That's bad for you.
Yeah, of course it is. So people would be absolutely battered, and she was like, that's the poison coming out of your body. Yeah, so she was a big fan of fasting people. Then they get the shit beaten out of them, and then just as the absolute amuse-bouche between courses of then probably sleeping for the rest of the day, they would have a pipe shoved up their ass and they would have an enema. Now, in some cases, there is some medical evidence for, enemas relieving things like constipation, things like that. Obviously, in wellness kind of movements, they're seen as sort of like a detox thing for your colon. What bollocks. The fuck ever is it? It's all fucking bollocks.
Can I just say to you, there's someone that we used to know in our life that used to regularly go for what do you call them? Colonic. Chump. One of the most pathetic individuals.
Fucking hell.
And he didn't get any of the toxicity out of her either, did it?
You fucking horror show.
I think the last thing you need, love, is your bowel cleaning out. What you need is a bit of therapy.
Well, what's really interesting about all of this Linda stuff is I could see all this happening now in the wellness movements that really weaponize, and I understand why people are reticent about, some medical stuff, and particularly if you're from if you're a black person, I understand with things like the Tuskegee, syphilis thing they did, why you would be fucking scared of having a vaccine. I get it. They've literally experimented on you. But if you are some fucking yoga girl with extreme privilege, I don't want to hear that you're an anti-vaxxer. You don't. Oh my God, shit like that drives me fucking nuts.
There's that documentary, and I've known about this woman for years, Belle Gibson. Have you heard about her?
I just watched that. Yeah, it's Belle Gibson, this whole thing.
So I mean, that's terrible, because what I do think is, those poor girls that had cancer and were looking to her for some sort of bit of hope, a bit of, oh, great, maybe I could do that. So fucking dangerous. Sinister. File her under Linda Hazzard.
It is. Sinister is exactly the right word, because also I know from my adjacent stuff with Copperfield that one of the cancer is horrific, so tough to go through, but also incredibly isolating. So when you find community who can understand, who can even share sort of best practice and I found that the sores I got were really helped by this thing, or whatever it is. And people want to treat it holistically, and I don't think that's a bad thing as well, of try and put good stuff into your body, try and fuel it in the right way.
Oh my God, there's of course, if you suddenly start eating correctly and, being a bit healthier, that can only help. But also, can you use the medicine? Because that's the thing that's going to help, mate. Yeah.
It's so brutal. So she was insisting on these enemas. Now, enemas, so I looked up how long they should kind of last. The actual stuff where it's in your asshole is 20 minutes, half an hour to get everything out. And they were maybe with everything on the other side, an hour. There were women there who had a tube up their ass, an enema for 4 hours. You're
the fuck is going on with this?
That's a train from North Wales to London on a bad day.
It's appalling. It's appalling. That's
At that
terrible.
point, you'll be getting now you're just blasting this stuff out of my teeth. Do you know what I mean? It's too long. It's too long. So yes, in this sanatorium, that was the holy triptych of pummeling, fasting, enema. What a fucking horrible stag do that is.
Well, my God. Wilderness Heights, though,
Awful.
The locals started referring to it as Starvation Heights.
Because people were leaving, I mean, literally, they were ribs showing, they looked emaciated, and they're like, I've never felt better. Because also, the thing about Dr. Linda Hazzard was she was a very compelling, kind of no-nonsense, but compelling orator. She was sort of I know best. And I think some people who are so at their wits' end with healthcare, especially when people are dunno. That's the scariest thing, when a healthcare professional turns around and goes, we don't know, actually.
Mate.
Yeah, fucking, I don't know.
Don't know.
When they're Googling it, when you hear them Googling in front of you, you're like, come on.
Don't get me started, seriously.
But I can imagine when you are at your wits' ends to change from someone going, don't know, to I can fix you. And in 40 days' time, you're going to feel completely different. And someone kind of going, I'm going to take care of every part of your life. I'm going to tell you when to sleep, when to eat. That actually must be a great relief. And you can see why some people, even when they are dying, go, no, I've just got to see this through. Because if I deviate from it, I'm back to square one.
And think about it, these people were starving, because as we'll get to in part 2, some of the people were dying at 3.5 stone.
That is absolutely wild.
That's not even... That is you can't live as an adult at that.
No.
That's horrendous.
It is. I can't even picture what they would look like. It's really, really awful.
Ooh. That's less than £50 for our... I still use stones, me. I only deal in that.
I think we should technically be working in kgs, right? But
I think so, yeah. It doesn't mean anything to me. But yeah... Really horrible, this. Mate, I'm starving now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Don't want to sound insensitive, but I am quite peckish now.
Well, I, for once, had breakfast. It's because I've got chickens who are laying eggs at the moment, and I'm a vegan, except for eggs from my own chickens. So, I had some eggs this morning. I'm plant-based then, I should say.
Okay. Sorry, I'm yawning now. Yeah, I'm starving now. Sweet. Listen, Australia's coming up.
It's galloping towards us. Yeah.
I haven't even had a chance to bloody think about it.
I'm really excited.
Bit of warm weather.
It's going to be great. I was thinking about that. I was looking at the stars last night. I was like, I've heard the stars in Australia are amazing because it's, big skies and lack of light pollution. So I'm very excited to just have a little gander at the side of the stars that I don't see as well.
Oh, there we go. That's nice. We're not going on a date, mate. We're going to work. Bloody hell.
Yeah, but I'm allowed to look at the stars while I'm there, Rachel. I probably will be working the whole fuck. You know what I'm like? I'll be locked in my room working. But
well, this is it. Well, it's nice, isn't it? Because obviously I'm writing a new show at the minute, so I'm like, oh, well, it's good. We'll have some fun, but I will have to work as well. You can't.
Yeah.
It's
living together as well.
Yeah, we've done that before. We'll be fine. September though is the time that I feel like I'll finally be able to relax. Now, listen, Australia is on sale. Come and see us, or Killa No Filla, and New Zealand, and our solo shows as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm still on tour. I don't know when this is going out.
It will go out in a few weeks. You're on tour for a few months. You're on tour till June, right?
RachelFairburn.com.
RachelFairburn.com. I've got nothing to... Oh, you can come, actually, when this comes out. If you're in London, we are doing Suspiciously Cheap Comedy at the London Welsh Centre on the 23rd of March. Banging lineup. Susie Ruffle, Glenn Moore, Mel Owen, Taro, myself. It's only a £5. And the drinks in the London Welsh Centre are Welsh prices. So it's an incredibly cheap bar. Come along.
I've not seen Glenn Moore for a long time.
His new stuff is always so great. He's just great, isn't he?
Lovely guy.
Works really hard. Nice man. Great funny wife as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very funny.
So that's it, really. Episode 2. Sorry, I'm yawning now. You've brought this to the bloody...
No, don't you start. I've got no empathy for you. I didn't yawn then. That's actually why I looked away from you.
Do you want me to start crying?
No, I couldn't. If you cried, I could not give a fuck.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, when I do get upset, I cry. Usually it's through frustration, but it's all over and done within about 20 seconds.
Yeah, I don't know. I will cry. I'm quite a crier. I'm just quite emotional these days.
It's just out of frustration with me. I was like, ugh.
If I remember memories that move me, I'll cry. Anything to do with dads as well, I'll cry.
Yeah.
Can't watch anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, anything with elderly people with me, innit? That's my thing.
That's your kryptonite.
Yeah. Older people, I'm like, oh God, stop. Can't bear it.
How do you feel when you see sort of, every now and then that someone will try and be edgy and they'll do like a video or a fucking meme or something of two old people having a really passionate kiss? How do you feel about that?
I've got no... What do you mean, like?
I'm not... I was asking if you had any reaction, but I specifically wasn't being like, and does that do it for you?
I've never seen anything like that.
No, it's usually ironic. I tell you what, it's in a... I'll send you something with it in.
Okay, so
within reason.
Here's my thoughts. I hate it when younger people go, like, when they go on about, oh my God, like you think older people don't have sex. You think older people don't do the things that people do like that. I find it really insulting. Like they're not. When you get old, you don't just become this fucking husk of a human being.
Yeah.
And like, you know, when you see like elderly couple and they sort of holding hands, that's nice, isn't it? You know, I think that's good. Younger people need to realise they didn't invent sex.
No, and if in fact, I just know that especially the war generation, the stuff they were doing.
Well, exactly, yeah.
You'd be like, a bomb's going to be dropped. You can absolutely,
I mean,
you and your brother can have a go up there. Go on.
Well, just like, but also the other thing I always think is like, I hate this when somebody goes, oh, God, the audience are a bit old out there. Right. And are you not funny enough that your jokes can't go over? Like, you should be able to, listen, this is something I'm very proud of. And I love looking out and seeing the audience. Did you know, this is really funny. I had 2 16-year-old lads in my show.
Oy, oy.
In York. That was weird. And then like, you know, I get people aged 70. I love it. If you're older, come to my shows. I love having a wide age range there. And I think comedians who look out and go, oh my God, they're old. I'm like, no, you're shit. That's what that is. You're shit. I know it's like when people go, oh, they're a bit posh. Yeah, they might be, but you should, oh, they're a bit rough. Yeah, but you should be able to be good.
I do have a worse kind of audience where I think when they're posh and thick, but they think because they're posh they're not thick.
Yeah,
you know, if you're like some gigs, you'll be like you're like, oh, it's not that you understand and you don't like my comedy. You don't understand, but you're so arrogant.
Yes.
You think I can't possibly not have got that joke.
I would say the worst is sort of how to put this? People who would describe themselves as an influencer. and then
They've got
they're
no
like,
attention span.
no, do you know what it is as well? It's like that, the unwillingness to have to even try and understand anything outside of the remit of themselves is going to really bite them on the arse later in life. So like, you know, when you have like, oh yeah, well, I don't know, I wasn't born. Oh my God, I literally wasn't born. Like you need to get some interests. You have to sort your life out because this posting pictures of yourself is not going to last forever. Get a hobby and a personality. Use your brains, please.
Well, I think therein lies the issue, Rachel. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And
listen, we barely talked about the case in this episode, but it's been nice to have a catch up.
Well, it was there wasn't much flesh on this episode.
Very good joke at the expense of the people who starve. So well done, you, Rachel.
Come on, enough time's gone. Listen, I lived through the 90s, mate. Everyone was starving.
It's back again.
Is it back?
Yeah, but with Ozempic now. So.
Ah, yes.
Right. This has been the All Killa, No Filla podcast. This has been part 1 of Dr. Linda Hazzard. We will see you soon for part 2.